horse drifted alarmingly in the betting was, fancied in the morning, continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's not.
It's heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
Good evening. Yes, it's Sunday sermon time. And what better way to spend your Sunday evenings and Monday morning walks or Tuesday drives or whenever you do listen to the Not Totally Shit podcast? What better things to do? You've got to take time out for us. And of course, my usual two cohorts joining me tonight in John Lang and Chris, Lord Malvo, better known as Lord Malvo on Twitter. Good evening, chaps.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we're not going to do much of a racing review this week because I don't think there was a lot to talk about. Probably say, why aren't you doing the Super Sprint or the Irish Oak?
Yeah.
John, have you yourself got anything to say on what happened on Saturday?
No.
And that sums our racing review up for this week.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week.
Yeah, that. So, of course, there are certainly lots of topics to talk about. One of the things that a lot of people have commented on Twitter already was the racing TV show called Champions Full Gallop. He's on ITVX, I believe, on Fridays, or I think they've got the first 3 episodes now to watch.
Yes.
For all you racing fanatics. John, I'm going to come to you first for your take on what you've seen so far.
Right. Well, overall, I was a little bit disappointed, but not entirely surprised. The first episode, we had basically a non-stop array of posh people who,
Hurrah!
each one was introduced with their own caption as to how many millions they've won in the last year.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and they're telling you how great everyone else is at what they do.
Right.
Big emphasis on the danger, thrills.
Oh, yeah.
To me, that's kind of a lazy cop-out and a bit mirroring that Formula One series. Obviously, there's no punters featured. There's no bookings, no caterers, no racecourse managers, no clerks, no journalists. Only featured. Journalists are featured as talking heads. They're not shown what they actually do covering the sport or seen inside the press room or anything like that. That might have been a bit more interesting.
Episode 4 is the buffet, I think. That'll be the press release.
There's no small trainers or owners. Plenty of time devoted to Brian Ian Froden, that racing fans are bored shitless of. Episode 1 concentrated on the King George. Froden again, he's going to lead. Come on, Froden.
Boring, yeah.
Predictably made a meal of the Shishkin incident. Nothing about what happened to Shishkin later on. Lots of the blogger-type celebrations over Hewitt's win in the King George.
Jolly good.
The inquest over Shishkin and Nico came back in, but you didn't actually hear anything from that. You just saw him talking to Popeye. Episode 2, I have watched on TV Player, I think they call it, don't they? Spoiler alert. This focuses on the jockey's title, of course, which no one other than the jockeys and the families have ever given a shit about. I mean, racing's obsessed with making the jockeys into stars. It just won't work. It doesn't work. It's proven not to work. At the end of the day, they're countless little twats. Episode 3 will be all about Cheltenham, Master v Pupil, Nichols and Skelton, Posh v Posh, plus Willie Mullins. Nothing about someone glad to have a runner for the tickets or anything like that. Or if he gets a place, his daughter can stay at private school another term. Or that would have been more interesting to me. The people at the bottom end scraping it together to get to Cheltenham.
That's for Channel 5, John.
Yeah, well,
Channel something, isn't it?
To me, I would tend to agree with those that said it's just a sanitised promo piece, really. And as I said, episode 4 we told is unsurprisingly about the fucking Trainers' Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a brilliant analysis, John. I mean, all I would add, Lee. I mean, I've seen the first 2, and I would hope that at some point betting will be given some degree of attention, either by having its own episode or a series of episodes. But I think the way in which this sort of thing has started is it's kind of like a government that says future prosperity is linked to people having larger families, but you're not allowed to have sex, right? So it's almost kind of, betting is that kind of thing that everybody knows is necessary, but no one wants to talk about. And so in the sort of analogy I've given is, if you can't grow your family by having sex, the only people that will be able to grow their families are a tiny percentage of people who've got the money to pay for, in vitro fertilization treatment. And, racing and people behind racing are desperately clinging on to the idea that somehow the sport can be saved by selling more ice creams or having more people through the gates of race courses. But that's fine. But unless those people are regular and persistent gamblers, it doesn't matter how many people you bring through the gates. If they're not betting regularly, the sport's fucked.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just frustrated at racing's inability to focus on anything other than the thing that makes the sport work.
Yeah. And indeed, if they don't change the funding model, you're absolutely spot on. If they change the funding model,
Yes,
it can work.
quite. Yes, it
They
can.
can make it as dress it up to whatever they can. But until they actually change the funding model and they don't promote betting, well, I'm afraid your turnover and slice of the pie is going to continue to fall. There's two takes I got out from it in episode 1. I think there's a subliminal message, well, 2 that I spotted, which was how hard it is for the jockeys, showing jockeys falling off horses, jockeys really have it hard, right? And then they'd focus on the welfare of the horse. Oh, but not that loads died at Newton Abbot recently. I brush that under the carpet.
Teddy Beckett's carpet.
Yeah,
again.
Teddy Beckett's got a large carpet there at National Stud.
Yeah. There's plenty under that fucking carpet.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't cross Teddy.
No.
So there we go. That was my take. Yeah.
I'm so disappointed in this because, as you know, I've actually spoken to Ed Chamberlain about my own idea.
Yeah.
Regarding a documentary about racing. I think.
What's that? European Cumbath Volume 7, mate? It's been done. They're on to Volume 21.
That's the one I've actually pitched elsewhere, Chris.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Carry on.
This barely scratches the surface as regards what I wanted to see and what I thought would have been far, far more interesting, because I wanted to concentrate on people that are scraping a living out the sport, maybe cover an exchange shop somewhere, blacksmiths, people that are earning a living from the sport in attendant careers, but not the ones that's in the papers every day, the trainer that's struggling to balance the books and balance...
Has to stop a few,
and that's family life to contend with as well, Things like that make it more relatable, shall we say, because at the minute it's a programme about millionaires.
Yeah, totally, John. I agree with you 100%. I was hoping, and I'm hoping that there's still, those kind of topics will be featured in future episodes. But you're right, the part-time stable staff, the people that are running 4 or 5 jobs that, muck out a couple of times a week, that the blacksmith, the feed people, all the ancillary people at the bottom of racing's ecosystem that are earning a living of sorts from the sport.
Outside of the top people in racing, Chris, how many interesting people have you met that just are on the periphery,
millions
have an interesting story, have interesting things going on in their lives,
Yeah, totally. I found some of these so-called top trainers, admittedly not the sort of the kind of the people you've dealt with, but the trainers have been generally quite boring people. But the staff and the duckers and the divers, much more interesting, far more interesting people.
It was pretty dull, I've got to admit. But then it wasn't designed for us. It wasn't designed for the people already in racing and actively taking an interest in the sport.
No, but I would put it to you, Lee, that what I was suggesting wasn't designed for us either.
No, true. That is very true.
It would be more interesting across the board. We would find it interesting, as would them not interested in racing.
Of course. There's a lot of characters in racing that can add a lot to it. But then the likes of Ed Chamberlain came to us last year at York and outlined why ITV is working. Yeah. It clearly is working. So that's the thing. We know what we think ourselves, but we know what the future problems are for racing, but we seem to be wanting to attract people, as Chris has said on previous shows. Is this going to get the National Trust people in? It might do. I don't know.
It might do, but will it encourage them to have a bet? That's the thing, and no one wants to acknowledge that. It's kind of, it's almost like, you know, the sense that racing, you know, and this will win awards, right? This will 12 months time. This will win an award for, you know, the best kind of sports documentary of 2024, guaranteed, because it's well produced, it's glossy, but it's kind of like someone who has a relative in a coma, right? And you know that person is never going to come out of it, but you find any reason to be positive. Oh, you know, their eyelids twitched, so you know it's all going to be all right. And this is the racing equivalent. It's kind of saying this is the answer. Get new people in, and somehow everything will work out. But as you said, unless the funding model changes, it doesn't matter how many people go racing. If they're not betting, it's done for.
The only people I saw like giving it the old, oh, this is a great thing for racing and it's really good, are like the participants.
Yes, exactly.
5 or 6 series of this would go down to the ground, wouldn't it?
Fucking right. Yeah, this is a nice little franchise. You could see this being replicated, as John says, over a series of episodes. Twice a year, or 3 times, whatever. You know, this is in the ecosystem of the racing journalists. This is fucking brilliant. This is the greatest, most innovative thing you can imagine. A glossy documentary to rival the Formula One effort, which I think Formula One's shit anyway, but whatever. But, you know, so the point is that outside of that bubble, you know, you will get, you know, they cannot conceive that anyone would not regard that as a triumph. But that's not how everyone doesn't agree with that.
And I've no doubt we'll be classed as like just critical dullards criticising for the sake of it and not getting on board with it or not backing it and just being unnecessarily obtuse, if you like.
But we are offering an alternative, like.
Yeah.
You did your very self. Like you say, I do find your idea more interesting.
Yeah.
More like a reality kind of
naked women jockey races. That's what we can fucking run.
I'm gonna say everyone thinks of us lot. I mean, we're not. Yeah, we won't go on TV.
That's what I pitched, and I haven't heard a fucking dicky bird from Ed Chambers. What a rude bastard!
Talking about people that don't get the limelight, as what John and Chris have alluded to, as it's all the rich people and Paul Nicholls and Dan Skelton fighting for a jockey's championship. They're earning millions in prize money. This is where I bring up Brian Ellison. An interesting article from Lee Mottershead today on Brian. Lovely article, actually. You know, just outlining Brian's success over the years. He's desperate to train really good horses, but obviously no one sends him tackle to do so. And one of the things that popped up, and it's popped up on a previous show a while ago, is the King, John. The King does not send horses north of Newmarket, it seems.
Well, the Queen didn't.
No.
Now,
did she not?
No.
Did she not have any north?
But I do think that we haven't. This sounds ridiculous coming from me, but I don't think we've given him a chance yet. And it wouldn't surprise me if they maintain the strength of the Royal Stud at Sandringham. If he selects a couple of trainers a bit more far-flung, increase national representation.
I've always been surprised, John. They're one of the big residences for holidays is Balmoral. So you'd think
Linda Perry.
Jim Goldie.
Yeah, with Uncle Pete's medical jungle juice from Hong Kong. When she hits form. Yeah, absolutely. That is potent. I mean, Jim Goldie, I used to call him Big Jim, but he's not so big now. He's lost weight.
Yeah.
But Ian Jardine.
Lucinda Russell, jumpers.
Lucinda Russell. I just think that Scotland, the North, deserve putting on the map with the Royal Horses. Yeah. That's the start of 10. I get the big wealthy Arab owners because if they land at Heathrow or Stansted in the private jet, they just want a 40-minute drive to go and watch the horses at Newmarket. I get it. It's the location of Newmarket that attracts the wealthy lot. Brian can certainly do the job, and he's done it for years with moderate horses and kept them going and kept them winning. So, yeah, a shout out for Brian then. A lovely article from Lee Mottershead on Brian and his recent success, of course, in the race he's been wanting to win all his life, the Northumberland Plate. Premierisation. I don't think it's working, John.
No.
And I'll tell you why. Next week, says Joe Huddleston, pointed this out quite rightly. Joe Huddleston, of course, if you don't know who he is, he's on-course bookmaker for many years. Newcastle next Saturday shares the card with the King George and the other Premier meeting, and they've got Newcastle running side by side. Of course, it's an art track. It has 2 0-55s and a 0-50 on that card. I'm sorry, but that should be nowhere near a Saturday afternoon in a Premierisation window. No. Like, you've got Chester that had transfer their track of the week, John, to a sort of like matinee
Yeah.
card, if you like. And yet this is bang there around the centrepiece of the entire racing weekend.
It's a shocker, isn't it? Really.
Are Arc getting favourable treatment here? Because sometimes I just see Arc tracks pop up like this.
We're frankly saying to death of Ark, aren't they? Because nobody wants an argument with him because he'll wipe the floor with them.
Crudders, yeah, Crudders.
She's on her way out. The last thing she's going to do is make a bigger fool of herself, taking him on. So this is where we're at.
Well, that's the annoying thing. Neil Tolson made a good point today on Barstewards Twitter, and he said that the BHA, they're taking the wrong people to task all the time. The article in that New Statesman the other week with the false statistics, anyone at the top of the BHA should be coming out, making a statement on. They've got the media power to do it, and shaming that article on behalf of racing, saying it's inaccurate. It's not a guess, it's been proven as it's inaccurate.
Lately, there's nobody at the BHA with the conscience to come out and do that. And take on the fella in the subsequent row. They don't have the self-confidence to do it. Half of them won't even know the stats are
They'd
on.
rather write 2-page fucking letters to us, though.
They've got the confidence to send legal letters to us.
Yeah,
literally 4 hours of fee earner time of shit about a fucking podcast that makes no money. Stick it up your ass and fuck off.
You ask any of them to raise their heads above the parapet and take part in a row for the good of racing, they don't want to know.
No, because they're looking at strategically saying who's on the board of Spectator. Will they be potentially a future employer or part of a quango of a job I'm going to? I don't want to piss off the great and the good because I might be sitting in front of an interview panel with them on in 18 months' time. That's why they don't take on the big people. That's why they're happy enough to send stroppy letters to us.
Indeed.
That's the quality of people. They're moral cowards, all of it. Not only are they incompetent, they're moral cowards.
Yeah. Ian Mackey's been on. He says, are the BHA not looking at the attendances at very popular national hunt tracks that can only race in the summer months? An example, a Market Race, and they got over 9,000 yesterday, and they are not alone. So why are they looking to cut more summer jumps fixtures and not the amount of flat racing? There is far too much. Wash your mouth out, Ian Mackey. Far too much flat racing. We only race from March to November, and we don't bang on about the Cheltenham Festival for 4 months, John.
You've said it all early.
Absolutely. We're flat fanatics. So, Ian, take that with a pinch of salt. But what I would say, if you put me in at the BHA, in regards to Premierisation, one of the most important things for track, obviously didn't take into account because on Fakenham had their biggest meeting over Christmas taken away from them, their highest attended meeting all year because of this so-called Premierisation. I would look at the track's attendances. It's a bit like what they do with the listed races, and they downgrade listed races to non-pattern races because they're not attracting enough quality horses, so they're not listed anymore. A brilliant example of that is the Hillary Needler and the old Brian Lee Yeardley race there at Beverley. So they can do that. They've got the ability to look at the attendance and think, right, well, we're not going to can that. They get plenty at that meeting. Other meetings that don't get so much, well, you can them. And then that way, tracks aren't going to be financially affected. And it's just, I think it's a good solution. But anyway, that's what I feel on that. Other stuff for the questions. The Rat Pod's been on. He says, don't know about Haydock land sale. So Haydock, of course, have announced a land cull where they are selling land to build roofs over people's heads.
Nice to see Dido coming in with a really original idea, isn't it?
Well, I mean, obviously this was planning for a while, but
yes.
I wouldn't be surprised the Jockey Club to certainly take more similar directives. Although I was pleased to see, looking at the sky map of where the land is, it's not actually around the track. So unlike Newbury, which is a complete eyesore in my opinion.
Horrible.
At least you're not going to see a big housing estate like that.
It's across the winning line. They're blocking the winning line off. You have to go round through the alley to get.
I don't criticise the sale at all, and they need it. They're skin. So I ain't got a problem with it. If it helps racing, there's no need to criticise the sale of that. In fact, I'd be in favour of selling Kempton like they wanted to if it gives them more leeway in helping either prize money, the flourishing of the sport. Do it. And the paintings, John. We want the paintings.
We do. We want all them Munningses, don't we?
John, you think they've sold them all and they're just fakes there, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
They've had the copy and put in.
Alsatians on beanbag is not a Munnings original. Despite what they tell you. The crying clown.
Yeah, right.
Or them dogs playing
Lord
poker.
Howard the Walden spent
I love that one. I love that dog's playing
you?
poker. I love that. That's what I do love that. Yeah.
Lord
It's
Howard the
fucking
Walden spent
terrible.
far too long as senior steward for somebody so rich to be not getting anything out of it. And I think he had somebody going in there copying the artwork.
Yeah, yes. John Myatt, the old
Yeah.
forger, yeah.
The thing is, they're that dopey. No one would know.
That's the art world, isn't it? Nobody wants to know if it's a fake. Fuck it, it's in no one's interest to expose fakes. So who knows? You might be surprised. Maybe there are a couple of old.
That's an
fucking
easy way to
dope
have
blokes on it.
skullduggery. Chris, if you were in
Yeah.
charge of the building,
Yeah. Oh, fuck me, I'd have them all replaced the first night I was working if I was security guard. The fucking lot would be gone.
So Rat Pod says, don't know about Haydock, but to parry quote Nicky Wire of the Manic Street Preachers talking about Glastonbury. When it comes to Kempton, they should build a bypass over the shithole. Yeah, well, look, Kempton, I don't mind Kempton, to be honest.
I like it. Used to be my local track. Fuck off. It's all right with Kempton. Bollocks. Fucking
Yeah.
don't build your own, concrete over your own fucking track. Honestly. Fucking. Where's our rap from? What part of the world are they from?
I'm not sure Rat Podcast. He comments a lot on Twitter. He's a good chap.
Yes, he
So-
is excellent, but not on this occasion.
Yeah, a couple of horse racing questions to finish before we move on. Davis has been on thoughts on the relative merits of the 3-year-olds against their elders this season, John. Quite mixed.
Yeah, I'd say mixed messages at this stage. I think York will probably tell us where we're at, really.
Yep.
You get the good one. I think there's quite a lot of handicap clashes outside of the Eva, of course, because they can't get in, but I think the other handicaps, there tends to be a fair few generational clashes.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll see a bit of action.
I'm pretty good with that. I don't like to jump in and just go, well, that's it. I like to Rosalian and that.
Yeah.
Maybe the Sussex might reveal a bit. Who knows? It's one of them. Then we might start to worry if Rosalian gets turned over by an older yak. But yeah, that's where I stand at the moment. I'm going to wait till at least after Goodwood if I make a firm sort of decision on that. Urban Siege Ride, John, earlier this week with Danny Tunnup caused a Twitter meltdown bigger than the outage, the world outage. Twitter went berserk when Danny got the 4s on shot or 5s on shot beat at Windsor, holding it up last. The excuse to Chapman was he banged his elbows out the stalls. I think he injured his elbows trying to rein it back out the stalls. But that's how I saw it.
Looked like a dislocated elbow, didn't it?
I think so. The horse was ready to go pow, and that was it.
I thought they were trying to smash his race in the circumstances.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I didn't think it was a good look, John. I know you wrote in your column that...
Well, I actually criticised the earlier ride on Bold Impact. You held that one up and it wasn't the place to be in the circumstances. You did well enough to finish second. So then I put Under Siege, 30 minutes later, gave a good illustration as to why we classed jockeys as slow learners. He sat last on this one while the first two were in the first two throughout. This one is still a maiden, but it's a travesty.
Yeah, I've got to say, and I had no play in the race, so I've no financial risk. I'm 40 incompetent, 60 okay. That's how I stand. You can never say something is 100% okay because you can't prove it. You can't. That's where I'd be on the
I think whatever happens, Lee, I think this goes into handicaps £10 to £12 to the good, no matter what.
Possibly, who knows? But I know a lot of you was upset on that. Who's having a 5,000 to win one?
Blogger.
Yeah, it could be Blogger having that, yeah. The UK Gambling Commission released a statement on the 19th of July. And at first, it seems very positive for punters that have been struggling to withdraw their balances out of bookmaker accounts, supposedly falling foul of source of funds checks and anti-money laundering checks, which conveniently for the bookmakers, they want all the data and documentation when you click withdraw. I'm not saying it's rife, but it is happening, and it's happening with regularity. But the Gambling Commission have come out with a statement saying that this is not allowed, and the bookmakers need to change their rules forthwith to say that basically should not be happening, which is good because I suppose in some ways that gives them license then to fine the operator if they are behaving. Maybe that's one step for the punter at last in terms of getting fairness out of the game and stopping turning punters from going elsewhere. to do with the leisure time. However, there is a downside to this, and I read Banks' Twitter. Jeff Banks is saying, all well and good. The GC claimed they've notified all the bookmakers. Banks says he hasn't received one notification from the Gambling Commission on this.
Well, they're inveterate liars, like.
Well, we've said about the fudging of stats. We've said about the agenda that they've clearly got. Do we believe anything that comes out the mouth? Is this just absolute baloney? We don't know. But look, I'm just reporting things as it stands. Well, you know what we think about the Gambling Commission. Certainly the same as every other organisation that runs the sport. Obviously, also otherwise we wouldn't exist. Moving on to the SBC Bash, which was wonderful. Myself, Nick Davis, and the producer went down to the SBC Awards. It was absolutely superbly organised, and I'm not just saying that, by Peter Ling at SBC. A lot of professional people there. You likes of Nick Goff, really shrewd judges, Luke Patton, Harry Stewart Moore, lots of really, really good people down there. And it was actually very refreshing to actually speak to some of these people and listen to what they had to say. Nothing negative to say on that. I'd just like to say thank you to all our punters as well for voting. And it does mean a lot, even though, we've never really took it that serious, but it just means a lot that you like it. But the awards bash itself was very well run. Matchbook, I think, were the sponsors, of which I had some time with some of their staff. Malcolm Graham was their CEO. He only came over to my table, Chris.
Yes.
It was a free bar afterwards, and he noticed me ordering bottles of wine, and then he obviously saw the rate I was drinking them.
Fuck me. Fucking, there's a run on the share price. Fucking get out.
I don't think he'd no intention of allowing that sort of behaviour going off. So he came over to talk, and the first thing he did was put his hand in the wine cooler, and he noticed, obviously, the wine that they were getting as part of the freebie, and it was that, and then he said, you on the wine, are you?
You're a big lad, aren't you? He said, fucking slow down.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd come back with a sponsor. I was hoping you'd say, we're now sponsored by Marlboro cigarettes. Cigarettes smoked by your doctor. 60% of doctors recommend
put his hand
Marlboro.
in the wine cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's weird, isn't it?
Big belt, yeah.
He's washing his hands. He's just been for a shit, and he thought, "I'll fucking wash my hands."
Maybe give somebody a smack in the mouth, and his hand was swelling up.
Yeah, he's paid for it, John. It's his wine. Anyway, obviously they sponsored the event, and it was good to chat to him, actually. The one tricky question I gave him was on, do bookmakers sell the data? He claims Matchbook don't, but he admits that bookmakers will share data with each other. Yeah, I was also on that.
Okay.
The do itself was great. The other takes from it, the major takes. SBC's Josh is brilliant. Give him a follow.
Yes.
He's such a great kid. Talk to him at length. The other one thing I want to say about Matchbook. So Ronan McDonough, head of trading, his job title is Senior Ecosystem Manager. What's that, Chris?
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, because businesses now, it's boring to talk about processes and procedures. So businesses now are encouraged to see themselves as an ecosystem, a living, breathing thing with a multiplicity of interdependent people and parts. So, so the whole kind of green agenda is now kind of drifted across to the corporate world. So it's ecosystem. Things are, ideas aren't just original. All ideas are now organic. They flourish within this ecosystem, but it's just more kind of corporate word salad, really. What was his name? Ronald McDonald, did you say?
Ronan McDonough.
Oh, I see. Right, my apologies. I thought you have fucking them burgers, extra fries.
I think at Barstewards we should start calling ourselves different. Head of Magic and things like that.
Yeah.
And like
Wanker, shit house, shit ape one. Lee King shit ape. That's you. It's got to be, isn't it? That's the CEO.
Yeah. I mentioned that down there, and they said, "What's a shit ape?" I said, "You've seen apes that run round zoo and like punters are watching them and they're chucking shit then."
Good. That's a shit ape. Does nobody know that?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I can't believe you get to the stage where you got your own awards program. You
I'm telling him,
what a shit ape is.
Oh, terrible, isn't it? No.
Yeah. Oh, the dangers here of like social media as well. So if you have got an Instagram account, things like that, right? If you say shit ape, I'll guarantee you, my phone, when I check it in a minute, when you go through the stories, up pops the adverts, and there will be an ape on a T-shirt or a shirt trying to sell me it.
Because they hacked your fucking microphone.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
They did,
and I refuse to believe, and I haven't got Alexa or anything like that, but I refuse to believe they're not. Because I said something, what was it, something last week? Something really kind of, just something, I don't know, some really kind of odd thing. And a day later, like all the social media adverts are about advertising this thing or this experience. It's bizarre. You can't tell that's a coincidence.
I had a 2-hour drunk chat with Luke Patton, which was quite fun. Finally, and long chats with Davis. Davis got some fantastic stories of our very Barstewards. One of the final take from it, Colonel Braxton, the Twitter account.
Yes.
You might have seen it, both of you, flying about. And he tweets like, if you guess, honestly, I put him in the 40 to 50-year-old range, right?
Yeah,
You look at his tweet styles and what he does, and he's quite experienced. You think, hey, he'd be 40 to 50. Yeah. The guy is 35.
Ah, well, that's back.
But listen, I ain't finished yet.
Go on.
He looks 16.
No. Is he? Really?
Yeah.
A lucky bugger, eh?
Yeah. I like shocked.
Wow.
But again, another great kid. It was a great time by all. To finish,
Nice.
Bert Doncaster's asked us a question.
Ooh.
And he says, how have your lives changed since the award? Invites to premium dogging sites, buying from the Aldi premium range, etc., etc.
Oh.
Has your life changed?
For the worse, but that's nothing to do with the awards.
No. John?
Funnily enough, I would say the only semblance of change. I had somebody contacted me before racing started today and said, "Are you attending Redcar?" I said, "No, I'm fucking not." And she, and she said, "Oh, that's all right. I'll give you your name because it's on the list."
Ooh. What the fuck's that about?
I don't know. But I was on the list anyway. So.
How?
Hit list.
I must be famous now.
Bloody hell. It's on the list. You must find out what this list is.
Well, I was on the list to get in.
Interesting.
But why?
Because I wasn't going, she got in.
Might be our Charlotte. Go racing in Yorkshire, who knows?
Yeah, it could be, couldn't it? Yeah.
So I would say, Bert, it hasn't changed my life. I don't want to win next year for all of us because we've proven that we're not totally shit. And if we win it twice, it might mean we're good.
We want to dominate, crush the opposition so that no one bothers to launch a pod ever.
No. I tell you what.
Honestly, what was it Genghis Khan said? It said it's not enough for me to succeed. All my enemies must also fail. I mean, that's what we want.
Yeah, getting presented the world by Chris Pull was good as well. Chris Pull's funny.
Yeah, he's good.
I might send you next year, Chris. You can do it.
Oh, send me the fucking fair and I'll go down there. Honestly. It looked lovely. I have to say, joking aside, very jealous. It looked a really nicely put together award, and the other pictures that people shared of people like Nick Goff and Paul. It really looked a real good event.
Yeah, Vote Taker Pull podcast next year. They're the next up and coming one from nothing.
Nah, fuck them. Nah, vote us. We'll reign for 1,000 years. 1,000-year right.
Once we get on the throne, there's no removing. Yeah.
There's no removal.
We probably have to change the rules once we're on the throne.
Yeah, we will change the rules. We'll burn down the Reichstag and then
there has to be a minimum amount of swearing and sex talk on per podcast.
Totally. I'm with you, brother. That's how it's got to be.
Here I come now, moving on. So thank you, SBC, for that.
Yep.
Moving on. An idea here that I've sort of stolen from a good podcast that I listen to on football called Under the Cosh. They get a lot of ex-professional footballers to talk what they've got up to, the bad things they've done. It's a hilarious sort of podcast run by John Parkin, etc. So they have a challenge to do, and this challenge I think is just about impossible. But I reckon I'm going to challenge all our Barstewards listeners, a Barstewards quadathon. I'm going to call it a cash prize for someone that does this. Right? I'm not going to say the amount. You've got to provide sufficient evidence. There's cash prize if you do this. Right, so the numbers 8, 12, 16 and 20, right?
Yeah.
You've got to do these tasks within 24 hours. And the tasks are donuts, pints, running kilometres, and masturbation.
Wow.
So, for example, if you do the 8K run, then do you do then the 12 donuts, 16 pints and 20 wanks?
Oh,
Chris,
that's a challenge. I don't know how to answer that. For the first time in a long while, I'm pretty speechless. So I'll pass. I don't know. The most challenging thing, genuinely, the most challenging thing for me would be the running and the drinking.
Yeah,
donuts and wanking. I've no bud, but running and drink. I'm not a drinker, so I think I'll be done for.
If that's what you're saying, your strengths, I know obviously not going to do it. You're saying it's 20 donuts, 16 wanks.
Yeah,
You'd have to do the 12 pints after. You can't do the 12 pints before the 8K,
exactly.
right?
No.
8K and 12 pints. I think that's doable.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds doable, doesn't it? I think the other way round, I think it'd be impossible, wouldn't it? That sounds... What a strange thing to ask people to do. What kind of evidence do we want? We don't want evidence of all of it, do we?
Yeah. So I'll stress, you can't start the next one before you've finished the last one. So you can't split it up. You can't start at 20 either. So you've got to start at 8, 12, 16, 20. So for me, it would be, I can't run very well. So it's going to be 8K run.
Yeah.
12 wanks.
Yeah.
16 pints and then 20 donuts because you're hungry after the pints.
You'd be running on strong with that sequence, wouldn't you? The 20 donuts would be a piece of piss.
You forget your Brownlees doing the triathlon.
Yeah.
This quadathon, this is for athletes. This is for proper...
The new Iron Men.
This is the proper Barstewards Iron Man challenge. John, after mentioning that, I know, look, you're going to say, I can't do any of them. Or something like that. But
I'd have to start with the 8K run. It'd have to be downhill. And I'd have to trip at the start and roll the rest.
Cheese rolling down the hill.
Start at the top of an 8K hill and do that cheese roll thing.
Yeah.
Where you could be killed if you hit a train road up.
Yeah. You put a bit of damage on the head.
So I'd start with that. What's next? The 12.
Done the run, so
I think I'd be that exhilarated. I'd probably need a wank.
Yeah. A lot of them though.
So I'd blast 12 wanks off.
Yeah.
Probably over the course of 36 hours, not 12.
24.
24 hours, isn't it?
Yeah,
24
I'm
hours.
struggling, to be honest. And then I'm on 16, aren't I? So 16 pints of Monster Pink.
Yeah, like that.
Which I would probably manage quite easily. And then I'd probably be ready for a donut. So if I survive the downhill fall...
Are we overestimating our abilities, Heath? Yeah, I think we might be. I think we're going to 8 kilometres, 24, one off, wrist, no problem. I think we're all going to struggle. I really do.
I'd be in with a shout if I survived the fall, and I'd probably struggle to fit the wanks in over less than a week.
Yeah, I mean, you say that. Yeah, I could do that. I reckon you'd be fucking running on empty pretty soon afterwards, honestly.
I think to get through plenty of masturbation, probably need a lot of Colombian.
You go blind.
Yeah, say 12. 12 wanks.
I think so.
I still fucking struggle.
6 days to a week plus, I'd say.
Yeah.
Well, if you get the run out of the way, 12, could you do it, wrapping it off in about 4 hours or something?
You got to bear in mind, after the run, I could be seriously smashed up. I could be.
It could be in bits.
I could have 2 broken arms. How the fuck am I going to manage the wank then?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
This is the true Barstewards Racing Ironman Challenge.
Yeah.
Do you have the physique to get through the run? But then you're going to need the physique to take the beer. You're going to need the physique and the belly to eat the donuts. And then you're going to need to be like a sexual predator.
Yeah. Fucking hell. Yeah.
There's every chance I could need the donuts liquidized by the time we get to that point.
Well, yeah, you see that's a sort of out of the box thinking, John, that's going to make people win this challenge. Never says it has to be in solid form, does it?
Yeah,
you could turn it into mush, couldn't you?
You can do 16 pints of liquidized donut.
Correct.
Anyway,
exactly.
If you're driving in your car to work or you're listening to this this evening in your bath or anything else, give it some thought. What order would you do it in? Let's say it's your life. Let's say a Mexican gangster has got his gun to your head.
Fucking shoot me, yeah.
You do this, I shoot you.
Because they're Mexican gangsters, aren't they? Just popping up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We'd
be eating the fucking barrel if we had a gang out. I'd like to be too good to be true. Someone to put a bullet in your head, wouldn't it? Honestly.
To be fair, Chris would be glad at 20 donuts. I know that. I know that for a fact.
That'll do me. Honestly, you can shoot me after that. No, right after 20. Krispy Kremes, though. No rubbish. We'll have to be Krispy Kremes.
Oh, God, I don't know anyone would eat 20 Krispy Kremes.
No, you can't. Could you? No. I was thinking about now, you could smash, but when you get to number 3 or 4, God almighty.
I'd pick them just like maybe jam donuts.
Yeah.
Where they always get blob of jam wrong and then you bite into it and it goes all down your shirt.
Yeah. Got to be the fried ones, not the baked ones. The fried ones I could manage, but the baked ones.
I'd want oblongs with a bit of cream cheese in.
Yeah. Oblongs with cream cheese in. That's
It's all right.
The only way
He's
I'd get
just-
them all down.
Yeah. I know what you mean with sickliness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
A savoury donut for John.
Oh, Christ. No. Fucking hell.
Right. Give it some thought, chaps, on that. It's a great sort of project, that. Anyone that can
But don't send any evidence. How are they going to evidence it? You don't want fucking 20 dick pics, do you?
Well, that's it.
We want this bigger than the cinnamon challenge, don't we?
Yeah, the Mike Parry.
Yeah, correct. You got to be careful about this because some of these degenerates be sending you fucking cum tributes all day and all night. You'd have to turn your phone
The
off.
Barstewards inbox all of a sudden's getting evidence of
European cum bath comes to Barnsley, comes to York. Yeah.
You know, when they're on the timestamp up on a piece of paper. Here we go.
Yes. Oh, fucking! What have you done? What horrors have you unleashed now? Christ.
Oh, goodness gracious. Right.
Yes.
To finish the show off, as usual, in his usual slot, he's Samuel the Cat.
Yes, good on him.
He's back with a good question. And he said, what is the scariest, eeriest place you have ever ended up and thought, how am I going to get out of this place without being filled in or dying? I.e., it could be an away football team's pub, a rough town or city or something obscure, like ended up in a cave somewhere, getting lost, anything. Any life experiences that you three, well, you two and me, have experienced? John?
I tell you the most scary place I've been in the last 12 months. That was a school reunion that I went to. And
Genius.
From walking in the place, I was absolutely terrified that I was going to have to engage in more than 2 minutes conversation with any of the fuckers, really. Obviously, everyone in the building was doing far better than me.
Oh, God, yeah. Dreadful.
All far happier than me.
Yeah,
much more well-rounded and fulfilling lives. I did quite well, actually. I stuck it out until 9:15, and then I said I'm going to have to nip across the street to get some cigarettes. And I just headed for the car park and got in the car and off.
Yeah, the dreaded school reunion. A scary prospect for most, I would think.
Yes.
In terms of, oh, good God, not these again. For me, this is actually with the producer. No, not the producer.
In general.
No,
this is just like one fucking long ransom note every week. Please help. Yeah.
The scariest thing for me was with the producer, and we were in Port Royal in Kingston, Jamaica. We went to watch England play Test cricket.
Oh, Christ.
And exactly, what a trip! They got hammered. I think we saw England they got bowled out for the lowest ever total, 57. They got bowled out at Sabina Park. Anyway, that's digressing. So one evening we decided to walk to a local fish restaurant, or we'd heard sort of good reviews about it. And it was like pitch black. We walked down this street and it was full of natives. And you know, like when you walk into a pub or like you're just not welcome, or like feeling walking down there. Obviously, Jess was a lot younger and a lot more attractive.
You're going to struggle with them fucking 20 now, aren't you?
I'm going to get it after that, right?
You get none. You get now.
It'd be tonight, Samuel the Cat. That'd be about
you get kicking the bollocks.
That's 2 to 7 for the fucking edit, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm absolutely done on this one. She's going to have me on this. Anyway, so walking down, I was really obviously scared for her because, like, you could see everybody like leering and looking up and down, and we're basically probably a great place in Kingston. We decided to turn back round and not go to the fish restaurant. We went starving that night.
You still went for the meal, though. I thought you'd say.
No. We decided to turn back round.
Take the girl. She's nice and juicy.
Yeah.
You ran off.
Anyway, the next night we were sat at the bar at the hotel. It was an outside bar, and you know I can take my drink and plenty of it. And not drank all day. We've been round the pool, sat at the bar, had the first cocktail, ordered nothing strong, just one of them cocktails that you have with a double, whatever. And then I started to feel really funny. Really, really, really funny. As in, I'm going to collapse, like on the spot. And I literally did. Jess had to drag me upstairs to the hotel room, and we think they had spiked it with the old...
stronger in them days as well as better looking.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, look at this for the producer. She managed to drag... At that time, I was 17 stone.
Oh.
So she managed to drag me up 2 flights of stairs. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Like, because she was shitting herself because I think she knew what was going off.
Well, after the first story, she's wishing she fucking left you there,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I wasn't frightened at the time, but when I woke up and realised what had gone off, I was then like,
Horrible, isn't it?
I was like, oh my God, what could have happened?
Yeah, you could have been bummed, couldn't you?
Both of us. Into
Good luck
next
to
week.
anyone wants to fucking do that.
Yeah, I don't think they'd have picked me, Chris, with big hairy arse and that, you know.
You just don't know. You don't know. Well, my story's pretty similar in the sense that there was, I won't even name the part of London, a restaurant which acted as the front for a prominent London crime family, right? And when I say front, it was actually a restaurant, all kitted out, that didn't admit members of the general public. So it had tables, chairs, a menu, but members of the public weren't welcome, right? So it was effectively a kind of a meeting place hiding in plain sight as a restaurant. And years ago, I went with a guy there to see some people. I was pretty reluctant, didn't really want to go there, but this guy said, "Oh, come with me, it'll be a 10-minute meeting, there's sound. So I went to this place and was greeted by the sort of front of house, right, who had the good grace to wear a little bow tie and a white shirt, but he was no more front of house than I was. And basically sat down there and he said, "Hello, I'm whatever. Are you all right? Yeah. And then straight away, he goes, "How's your wife?" And he mentioned her name. "How are your kids? They all right? Still enjoying their school at XYZ?" And, you know, you see more colour in a pint than more. How the fuck does this twat know who I am, where I am, and the name of my kids? So we sat down there and like ordered from the menu. I said, "Oh, well, I'll have a bolognese." And he said, "Oh, do you want cheese with that?" I said, "Yeah, Parmesan." He said, "We only got fucking cheddar." I thought, "Oh, Christ." So we're eating an Italian restaurant that only has got cheddar for the cheese. So I sat there, listened to this nonsense this guy was having this meeting with. And the upshot was, similar to your story, the guy I was with ended up being poisoned by the people at the meeting. So he went out, I dragged him out in a taxi. We managed to get out there. He shit himself, puked up all over the taxi, ended up writing a check to the taxi driver for £1,000. They fucking poisoned him.
Oh, God.
Because obviously, whatever it was, so I thought, God, I've got to get out of
Yeah.
here. Doors are all locked. This guy's rolling like a billiard ball. So I managed to bluff my way out. But like, they knew where I lived, who I was. I thought, how the fuck do they know that? And, needless to say, don't go back. And I've even been curious to see if it still exists, that place. So yeah, that was horrible, really horrible. And people who like sort of read gangster books, and I'm the same, and think, and watch the films and all that. When you're up front with proper gangsters, they are fucking horrible. They aren't the charming kind of charismatic criminal mastermind. They are just nasty, violent thugs with a few quid. So yeah, that swore me off, those kind of people. That's for sure.
Cracking finish. What a great show and a funny show. We hope that you enjoyed that, of course, and we will continue to do so and provide you with more, not totally shit stuff, on future Sundays. So thank you for joining me, John and Chris. Have a great week ahead of you. Bye for now.